Well, hi, Paget. Thank you so much. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm so excited. This is so fun because I've listened to you, as I told you, that
I,
I'm excited to be on this show.
I know, and that's what I've been wanting to get more listeners to actually be on the show. So you're probably my first one that is a true listener. Thank you so much, by the way, for being an avid listener. But I know we have a lot of other things in common
We do.
besides travel. I think we both have this health and wellness in common, which I know it's going to be talked about throughout our conversation today.
I thought you were going to talk about the red hair when
Oh,
you
and
when
the
I
red
met
hair, right?
you.
Got red hair. I think we both have two kids, right? And
Yeah,
so we got a lot in common. We know some of the same people, actually. We have some
a few of them.
similar
Yeah.
people in our circle. So I'm happy to have you here because you have, this whole idea of travel and health have really meshed for you. And I love that idea. But can you tell us about a pivotal moment when you really discovered, like, oh, I had this passion for travel? When was that for
Yeah,
you?
I think it was actually about the same time that I realized my passion for holistic health. And so my daughter and I, in about her 16th year, had worked for a year selling roasted peanuts at a local stand to raise enough money to go to Italy for her 16th birthday. And, I went with her, and climbing up the, Coliseum and all the things we did, my health wasn't the greatest. And I remember coming home from that amazing trip and really almost deleting all of my pictures because I looked at myself and I thought, this is just not who I want to be. I wasn't sleeping, I gained weight, all of those things. So that trip was pivotal to me for a few reasons. It was pivotal because even though I wasn't solo, I was taking a teenager. So I was so solely responsible for our safety. And I had planned this whole trip, and we had lots of it that was organized, but we went off track and we did things that were not on the original plan. And a few of them were kind of scary. And I remember feeling like, wow, I did this. I feel like I gained some courage and some confidence and some ideas that I could actually do this on my own without my husband, without anybody else. So that trip was pivotal for a lot of reasons for me. I think coming back and recognizing this isn't who I want to be, but I really love kind of this travel and I can do it on my own.
Yeah, and I've traveled with teenagers, and man, you need the energy for that. It's, I mean, especially when I was traveling with my younger one, oh my gosh, just it was nonstop. So I get that. And like you said, if your health is not, where it needs to be and you're lacking that energy, then that's certainly important. And it sounds like you went on a journey after that. So like share how this health and wellness revelation actually has affected your travel plans, your future travel plans and your
Yeah.
experiences now.
Yeah, so much. I came back from that trip, and I had adopted my middle daughter from foster care. And so when I led up to that trip, I was incredibly stressed. She had a lot of special needs. I wasn't sleeping, gained a lot of weight, went through early menopause, it depression, and I went to my doctors, and they were just like, take this pill, have this estrogen, just really not ever helping me. I think one of my doctors did tell me, well, you need to relax. And I was a little bit offended because right then I was really stressed and I was working two jobs and all these things. And I thought, how dare you? But in reality, she was probably right. My stress had put me in a very difficult position, and I didn't know what to do about it. And so when I went on this trip, of course, I had an amazing time. But when I came home, I just said, I've got to do something different. And literally, I landed, and it probably was almost just 2 days later. A friend of mine had told me about this program in Lancaster, Pennsylvania called Be Balanced. And it was about natural hormone balance. And it was about helping women lose weight but feel better overall. And she lost 25 pounds in a month. Now, I would never have believed it, but my friend had done it. So I was like, okay, I don't know what it is, but I'm going to do it. So I showed up. I'd never done anything like that before. I just showed up, and I didn't have an appointment or anything, which I would not recommend, but I did it. And I was just like, whatever it is, I'm doing it. And I did this program, and I didn't tell anyone that I was doing it. And it changed me. It not only did I lose about 60 pounds in 3 months, that was great. But for me, I felt like me again. I
Mm.
felt like that person that I was at 18, 19, 20, where I felt like I could conquer the world, had kind of gotten lost in the shuffle. And my trip to Italy kind of brought that back a little bit. Like I want to feel like this again. I want to explore. I want to, feel like I'm not in the mundane every day. And by doing Be Balanced, I felt better. I slept better. My energy came back. My zest for life came back. And I learned about my body and about how to source my body differently, about gut health, about food sensitivities, about all of it, which just really changed me. And so, when I did that program, I ended up actually opening my own Be Balance centers. And now I have 6 Be Balance centers. But through that experience, I remember when my son graduated from high school and I was like, we're going to go on just a road trip. Him and I, we had no plans and we just like headed north. So I lived in Pennsylvania and we just started driving north. And I remember we ended up on the Hudson River in New York and he's like, let's go kayaking. And I'm like, absolutely, let's go kayaking, and sometimes I would have been afraid of that. Like, oh, can I do it? Am I strong enough? And then he said, let's head north to Killington and let's go mountain biking down Killington. And at 60 pounds ago, at age 45, I would never have gone biking down Killington. But at age 52, I did. And I felt so powerful and free. So having the health that I wanted changed how I live my life as I age. So I'm 56 now, and I've done more in the last 10 years than I did in the first 45. So for
Wow.
me, I'm very passionate about helping women to regain their health for whatever their passion is. And mine happens to be travel. But it has given me the freedom and passion and purpose to do that again.
Yeah. So I think a lot of us get to a point where we make this decision and it sounds like you just like, no, just you went right for it. So you showed up, you went to this place and you committed this, part, to get yourself healthier. I think having that experience in Italy was probably a good, like, good push, right? To get you to do something about your health. And I think I hear a lot of people like when they go travel, they might experience the whole thing of, maybe their joints hurt because they are maybe carrying a little extra weight, right? So these kind of the idea of taking care of your health so that you can travel. I mean, I love that because you're going to be able to do more, as you just shared. Like you would never have been able to kayak if you hadn't done that. I know, even though I consider myself kind of in decent shape, that I'm still, when I go like I climb something, I get a little mad at myself because I'm out of breath maybe. Right.
Yeah,
But I'm still able to do it. And I want to be able to keep doing that kind of stuff. So I'm with you on like,
exactly.
paying attention to our bodies, especially as we age and we're going through, whether it's perimenopause or menopause. And, we know you and I both know how important our hormone balance is. But not everybody does. So I'm glad you shared that to let people know that this really can affect your activity level, right? And when we travel, we want to have that.
Mentally,
Yeah.
like, can I do it? Like, I feel like I started to doubt myself a lot. Like, can I ride that bike? Can I do these things? And so, yeah, like that has now come back to me like, yes, I can do that. And the more I do, the more confident I feel, and my kids are just like, you rock, which also feels really good,
Yes, yes. Yeah, you want to be able to keep up with your kids, right? You want to be I don't know, I want to be the cool mom that my kids, want to travel with or whatever, right? And do stuff with. But yeah, we have to
Absolutely.
stay young in our bodies to do that. Yes.
Absolutely. It's really about a quality of life as we age, as opposed to just accepting, oh, this is just part of getting older, which is what my doctor told me. And so many doctors tell my clients that. And we don't really think that that has to be the case. I think there are choices. And instead of just saying, oh, I'll just take that blood pressure medication, I'd be asking my doctor, okay, what could I do differently so that I
Hmm.
don't need to take that blood pressure medication or whatever it is?
Yes.
I think really learning functionally, we call what we do lifestyle medicine because it is good supplementation, but it's also about different strategies.
Yes. I get so angry when doctors say that. Like you're just to accept it because you're getting old. I'm like, well, no. I mean, I see, you know, think about the blue zone people, right? And how long they live
Yeah,
and how well that they live, right? Into their hundreds and they're functioning. They're not in nursing homes. They're like, and that's to me,
yeah,
that's the quality of life that I want,
it is. I think under giving women, a lot of what we also do is give women permission to say that what's on your plate is heavy. We have this saying amongst our staff that says just because she carries it doesn't mean it's not heavy. So especially for women, thinking about we keep all the balls in the air and we're expected to just make it look easy, but it doesn't mean that our body is not going to be taking stress and interpreting it in a different way. So for us, it's really also helping women identify that is a lot. And we can't take away that stress, but maybe we find strategies. Sometimes travel is one of them, to
Yes.
release some of the stress, to feel like you're kind of free and enjoying life too. So there's a lot of ways of mediating stress.
Yes. I agree. I use travel to mitigate stress all the time.
Most trips do that, but some don't.
I
But
don't know. It's my happy place. So, like,
agreed. I
yeah.
agree.
So tell me, how has travel actually changed you personally? We've talked a lot about how, physically it was the impetus to like take care of your health, but, I think more from a personal standpoint, how has it changed you?
Yeah, it has given me, I mean, I think some people, and I'll just say because nobody's here really to speak on my behalf, but a lot of people say, I can't believe you go there, or I can't believe you do that. And I have just committed to never allow fear to immobilize me from what I feel called to do. And so that's been powerful. And I think it's turned over into business as well, because I feel like I have the ability to make risky or difficult decisions when necessary. And travel's kind of given me some of that too, because you have to kind of think on your feet in different situations. The other things travel's done for me is my daughter and I, so I don't do as much solo as I probably would like, but my daughter and I have really become travel partners. And through that, when she graduated from college, we ended up actually starting another business together on the side that we do together. And so I really always encourage mothers to take those kinds of trips with their daughters.
Yeah.
The bond that you make, but when you're out and you're traveling, your daughter doesn't see you as her mother or telling her what to do, or it is on a different playing field. And now you're just two girls, in Italy, or two girls in Thailand. And it's a very different engagement, and it creates a very different respect and relationship between the two of you. So that's one way it has really impacted my life as well, because the relationship I have with my daughter is strong, and we work well together, and have learned through travel, through challenging situations, to be able to work through conflict. So.
That is so encouraging. I love hearing that. I mean, it doesn't have to be daughters. I hate to tell you people out
No,
there. I mean,
yeah, I know you
I,
travel with
I
your
travel with
son.
my son mostly, and like sometimes, and we've gotten so close just from the travels, like you said, like it's a whole different atmosphere, environment, and he definitely sees me differently than
Mm-hmm.
the mom that was always nagging him, as he says, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. It can definitely create some positive bonds, between, whoever you maybe travel with, even if you don't go solo. But you mentioned fear, and I think that's just a key word, and how
Mm.
we're able to conquer that, taking more risks because you traveled and having to figure things out. What would be your advice? A lot of women, they have a fear of going solo. What would be your advice to them to get them out of that, maybe, or to conquer that fear?
I don't want to make light of the potential dangers that are out there. I mean, you have to be wise. You don't put yourself in situations and that could be that way. I mean, I carry a little, I have a little what's it called? A lion, kind of, those things, I forget what they're called, but you hold them and then you get little claws, whatever. I keep a few little protection things with me, even when I'm traveling, to be smart. But I found more often than not that what I fear never comes to fruition, which is so true in life. What we worry about, we're worrying about the future that is probably never reality. So I guess my greatest advice is just to be wise and know your surroundings, but don't stop.
Mhm.
I remember when my daughter and I were going to go to Peru, and everyone said, "Oh, you can't go to Peru. Two girls can't just go to Peru, and you need to take a trip and a tour, and you need to have it all planned." And my daughter was like, "No, I'm not doing that." And like, "Okay, we're going to do this." And we did. And we stayed in tree houses in the Amazon, and
Oh,
we hiked Machu
fun.
Picchu, and we went to Lake Titicaca, and we spent time in Lima and did all the things in Arequipa, and buses back and forth. And never once did I feel in danger, except I did tell you I didn't realize that when we were in the tree houses in the Amazon, there were actually guards with guns at the bottom at the night. They never told us that. But so I should have been afraid, but I really wasn't. I didn't know any better. But we were still safe because we were staying at a place that had us covered, you know. So I just, if I would have allowed fear, I would have never gone anywhere. I would have never gone to Cuba. I would have never traveled to Thailand. I would have never done half the things I've done Vietnam, because it would have been too scary. All kinds of things have happened to us in our travels, and there are gracious people and kind people everywhere. So, even those scary situations have great memories because there were really
Yeah.
lovely people that
Yes.
were there to help us. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, no, it does. Like, I think you're just saying, like to be wise but to also, get out there, and the fears that we imagine don't ever really happen. I mean, that, like you said, so true with life. I mean, but I remember people saying the same thing just this past year when I was going to Paris, and they were having all those riots going on
right.
about that time, and the garbage truck strike and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're going, like, and so many people were trying to discourage me from going, but there was nothing wrong there. Like, we got there and it was nothing. I mean, we did see one small little you know, group that was gathering. There were police presence to contain, it was nothing.
Right.
And the garbage was, I mean, where we were was cleaned up. There was no garbage on the street. I don't know where people were showing those pictures
Right.
from, but
But
so
it's just
I
like
think,
other people think about our country. I think everybody hears about, the shootings and so on and so forth. And
yeah,
other countries think that, oh my gosh, it's not necessarily our reality on a regular basis. Same
right,
thing.
right. Yeah, exactly. So,
I
um,
spend a lot of time, I think I told you, in Colombia, and I have become such an advocate for the country of Colombia because so many people are like, oh my gosh, it's so dangerous. That is an amazing country that has been so underrepresented, and beautiful people and safe. And 20 years ago it was on the do not visit list, and then now it's on the must see list. It is
yeah,
amazing what they've done in Colombia. And I can't imagine my last 4 years of spending, probably 6 weeks a year in Colombia, what I would miss. My family that's our happy place. My husband, we call him Colombian Rob, because when he gets to Colombia, he's so unstressed, he's so happy, and we just love Colombian Rob, but I just don't just think what an area or a city or a country is. There's so much more to it. And so, be wise, but yet don't miss out.
I was also listening to someone else, another travel podcast, and the guy was also commenting about how often people like to give their advice or suggestions, or if they've been to a place, and or tell you good and bad, kind of thing. And his approach was, you know, everybody's perspective is going to be very different. So you if you're going to a place and you've heard, whether it's good or bad, you still need to go in as though this is a fresh, just a fresh picture, fresh painting, that you're going in with no expectations, but because you're a different person than maybe that person. And
That's very true.
maybe they didn't like this, but you kind of like that, so it's really depends on perspective, for sure. Like you said about Colombia. And I mean, I've actually been hearing some great things about Colombia lately. So, you know, um, it really depends on probably who you listen to, and, what their experience was maybe when they were there. So you can't really
Very true.
always judge, just like you can't judge a book by its cover, right? You
True.
gotta get in there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Everybody's different.
Yes. So tell me about a trip that maybe didn't go as planned, and how you approach any kind of unexpected turns.
Yeah. Well, so the one place I have visited, and I'm glad I did, but I wouldn't want to go back, was Cuba. So, when that there was a short period of time that Trump opened travel to Cuba. Of course, my daughter bought us tickets for Christmas to go to Cuba. And I was, not that excited. And so it didn't go as planned because there's so many challenges in Cuba that I really was not educated about. We oftentimes use the internet to be able to plan, like, maybe our next, Airbnb or travel. Cuba, you have to stand like way out on a particular street between 6:13 and 6:15 to trying to get the internet, and everyone's standing there, and then you can tell when it goes out because everyone becomes deflated and nobody. So, it was very, very challenging in Cuba. You couldn't get you couldn't transfer American money. So you had the money that you came with.
Mm.
Credit cards are not much of a thing there. And so you really had to budget wisely. I remember when we got back to the airport, I literally probably had 2 pesos in my possession. And I was like, oh my gosh, so God, we're done. But in Cuba, when it rains, they have no drainage system. So when it rains, everything floods. And we had tried to go out of Havana for a day to spend some time at the beach in Vardaro, which is a beautiful beach. And we had booked an Airbnb, but when it was raining, it was flooding and the taxi couldn't find our Airbnb. And then we had no place to stay. And there's not a good, there was a big language barrier because I don't speak my Spanish well enough for Cuba. And it was kind of scary for a period of
Mm.
time, and I learned that Cuba was very much a facade. And they'd have these beautiful storefronts with beautiful windows, but if you go inside, there's 2 loaves of bread. There it was just a very kind of sad dichotomy of a community that I'm glad I saw. It's still very communist, but it was not a place I want to go back, and it not necessarily turned out the way that I might
Yeah,
have thought it would.
yeah,
But glad I went, but don't need to
yeah.
visit again. I
So,
tell you, in Cuba it was so bizarre. We were down in the central area near the capital. We were staying probably half a mile from there. And we were crossing a street, and a gentleman who was walking beside me on the street that I'd never seen before said, "Oh, you and your daughter are staying down there," and named our hotel. It
ooh,
was a little weird.
that would,
And we're like, really weird. So anyway, don't need to do that again. But that's my perception. So
right.
everybody else enjoy. you know?
Yes. And I've had women that have gone and they said they loved it. So,
If
just
you
like,
go on a cruise and you stay right in Havana for 6 hours and you leave,
okay.
I think that's good. But I don't know. It's all about expectations, isn't it, Cheryl? So
Expectations, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what has been your favorite place in your travels and why?
I knew you were going to ask this, and this is so hard because every place has a different reason and a different thing. I mean, literally just last month, I took my parents and my daughter on a cruise to Alaska, which is beautiful. I love Thailand and Vietnam and loved all that. But I think my favorite trip was Iceland. When I was in Iceland, it felt like every turn was a new adventure.
Yeah.
You've got an iceberg, then you've got a volcano, you've got a field of reindeer, and then you've got these beautiful black beaches. And it was just like every time I turned around, I was in awe. And every
Mm,
night you had, the beautiful northern lights and
yeah.
in the hot springs. And so in one little island, I just felt like it was this life, an adventure of a lifetime. And so I felt like Iceland for me was so special, and it was so unexpected. I
Mm.
didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did. I kind of went along because my parents wanted to go, my daughter wanted to go, and I went and ended up being like so enamored with it. I loved it. So, other than the food, it was great. The food is not special in Iceland.
Oh,
Either
okay.
you're
I was gonna ask you, like,
no,
what's the
so
food like?
you're either eating fermented shark or
Mm.
you're eating really expensive hamburgers, and there's just like very little in between.
Oh,
The fish stew would be the only delightful piece of Iceland. So get the fish stew.
fish stew.
That I
Okay.
can.
Okay. Yeah. Iceland is on my list.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, my son's gonna beat me there.
Oh,
I know
oh, you
he's
can't go
going
with
in
it.
March, so
Oh, it's a perfect time. It is. That's
yeah,
when we went. It wasn't too cold. It was just delightful.
yeah. So he's excited, but yeah. Well, tell me about a solo trip um that was exciting for you and why you maybe went solo.
Yeah. So I before I started Be Balanced, I actually did travel a lot by myself for work, and I would try to take little adventures, as I went. And now when you ask that, I've got two that are tough calls. I really enjoyed. I was in London for business, and I
Hmm.
just took a little train down to Bath. I don't know if you've ever been down there, but
Yeah.
Bath is just this most idyllic little Shakespearean town with hot baths, and I love being by myself and traveling too. My brother and I will often say like that's our thinking place.
Mm.
in business, like when we're by ourselves and just doing things by ourselves is our thinking place. The other one I really loved, which was so unexpected, is I love the Badlands of South Dakota. You
Oh,
know,
yes.
I got sent to South Dakota for a project and I thought, oh, what the heck? Oh, spearfish and, Devil's Tower, Wyoming. And all of those things are amazing. And I enjoyed that immensely. Stayed at the Spearfish Lodge, this big old, log cabin lodge, and just drunk up every minute of that experience as well, other than getting a ticket in Wyoming because I think he just saw my out of state plates and decided he would make a little extra money, but it is what it is. So
Oh,
be
God.
ready for that if you go to Wyoming.
Okay. Yeah. No, I love all our national parks that I've seen so far. And anything out in the western part, I've been to all of them out there, but I would
Mhm.
love to go back again. Like the Badlands, I haven't been to the Badlands since I was a kid, but it really left a mark. Like it was remarkable that I actually remember it. And I've been to a lot of those other ones, Grand Canyon, of course, Utah,
Sedona, I love Sedona.
so, yeah, all I've been to all those and I just love them. I want to get back. But if you live in the US, I would just encourage you, like you don't have to go international, right? Just,
Oh, so much to do.
go see a national park, that maybe you can drive to, right? And just experience like Paget did, just this beautiful
Really was
scenery.
special.
Yeah, very special.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've been so many places I haven't been yet, which I'm so jealous, but it's inspiring. And I love the connection, like I mentioned before, this whole health, getting your health in order so that you can travel, be more confident, all that wonderful stuff. But you mentioned earlier how you got there. You said be balanced. So why don't you share with the folks
Oh, well, thank you.
a little bit about that? Just like,
Yeah, it really is my passion because of what I do now, like about traveling and living my best life at my age. I'm 11 years older than I was when I started Be Balanced, and I feel younger, and that's really what we hope for women. So women just don't understand that stress is a huge component that is throwing hormone balance off at any age. And now we are seeing clients who are younger and younger and younger because of the stress of social medias and colleges and COVID and all those things. And so all I would say is, so many women, as I did, feel guilty. Like I kept wondering, what's wrong with me? Like why I'm successful in business, I'm successful in my home life, but I haven't been successful at maintaining my health and my body. And it really made me feel guilty and bad about myself as well. And it wasn't helping my stress. So giving women the freedom to say, maybe it's not your fault. Maybe there's something going on internally, with your hormones. And so we really work with understanding health coaching as well as how that impacts hormone balance and strategies. And so it's so much involved in Be Balanced. And you just go to bebalancedcenters.com. If you don't have a center near you, we do everything virtually as well. But women at any age, at every age, we're going to need a time just to take a time out. I think of Be Balanced as like when you're flying in the airplane and they say, put that air mask on you for a minute. That's exactly what Be Balanced is. It's an opportunity for a woman or a man to kind of take a time out, focus on themselves for about 14 weeks, really look intentionally at mental health, at physical health, at food sensitivities, at gut health, and also, how our hormones are impacting how we function. So it's a great opportunity. And our goal is that when you leave, you're able to really attack that next purpose in life and that next step. And it gives you the energy and the mental clarity, everything you need to really live your best life at any age.
I love that. How true. So I'll make sure I include, you said bebalancedcenters.com is where people can go if they're interested in taking that next step into that journey for their health.
Yeah.
And I'll also put Paget's, if it's okay, could I share your email?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah. So I'm in Pennsylvania and Dallas, but there are other centers, but we work with people
correct.
virtually.
Yeah. So, but you could reach out to Paget, just, directly, or you can go to their website. If this is something, you really are convicted. I'm like, I need to get my health in order because I want to travel. I want to
Yeah.
be able to get out there like Paget.
Or if you just wonder, like, is this the thing that's holding me back? Because some people are
Mm,
struggling and don't know what is going on. I mean, people dealing with fibromyalgia or ongoing depression, some of that is really tied in gut health. If I'm just dealing with
Yeah.
digest, there's so much. If you just wonder, just call us. We'll have a free conversation with you just to say, hey, this is what we feel is going on for you. This is how we could support you. And that's, it's a pretty easy, no commitment kind of conversation.
Awesome. Well, I
All
hope
right. Well,
women that are
thank you for
listening,
having me.
yes, I hope they take advantage of that. And Paget, thank you so much for sharing your story, your life, and encouraging us to get healthy so we can live our best life, as you said, right? Whether it's
Absolutely. And never
traveling,
allow fear to stop you from where you want to go.
correct. Well, thank you so much. All right.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye bye.